With his spearmen found, Guillaume was one step closer to reclaiming his dukedom. First, he would need to organize them under his command. Only then could he continue his search for the rest of his forces. He gathered his spearmen and coordinated them into proper rank and file.
Vos tres flanques. Si, proxime. Gwen? Lanquier, si! Obeyo. Ite, servientes. Si, boys. Lanquiers. Ok. Bene. Lanquiers sparate. Ok.
Prête suis pour Normandie. Unur ceste guerrier.
Lanquiers. Obeyo. Si, boys. Lanquiers sparate. Bene. In avant, Lanquiers. Si.
Guillaume knew that his men would need to follow his every command in the coming battle, and so he assigned them as a group under his control.
Vos tres flanques. Si. Mauvais, servientes. Ok. Lanquier, si. Si, boys. Obeyo. Obeyo.
Guillaume's spearmen were now a respectable fighting unit. It was time to march on in search of more reinforcements.
Dan safe vostre command.
Guillaume's cousin and treacherous rebel Guy de Bourgogne had erected a wooden palisade along the path in an attempt to halt Guillaume's progress. However, this was no problem for his spearmen, who destroyed it with ease. An enemy patrol had been scouting the area. Guillaume knew that his spearmen were the perfect counter and saw this as an opportunity to test their mettle.
Pour André. Dan seid vostre commande. Vacances.
With his spearmen now proven in battle, Guillaume and his men moved on. A group of enemy archers blocked Guillaume's path. He knew their long range would give them a distinct advantage over his spearmen. As luck would have it, a regiment of his loyal horsemen had been spotted close by.
Scara formata.
Cavallarios, quitamos.
Guillaume once again proved he was a shrewd tactician. He knew his horsemen had the speed to run down and defeat the much slower archers. With his horsemen now battle-hardened, Guillaume focused on locating his own regiment of archers.
Leggere chose est faire ce que dei.
Audite.
Guillaume found his archers hidden within a quiet village. They reported that a group of enemy spearmen were on their way to secure the area. Guillaume noticed the hill nearby and knew it would be a perfect spot for an ambush.
Parades. Bene, bene.
Guillaume's plan once again proved true. His archers shot down the enemy spearmen from their strategic position. With his forces now gathered under his command, Guillaume prepared to rendezvous with his ally, King Henri I of France.
Parate, archers. Audience. Bene audite.
Sì!
Perfecte. Audite, servientes. Sì.
Comprendo.
Attention.
Proxime.
Obeir est vertus, uth la Deu merci.
Bene audite.
Uth honor et force. Uth la Deu merci. Obeir est vertus.
Now bolstered by his liege's forces, Guillaume marched to battle.
Audite.
Audite.
Attention.
The time had finally come. Guy and his rebel army stood in open defiance against the combined forces of Guillaume and King Henri. Guillaume had mastered numerous skills, and now it was time to put those skills to the test. Henri had granted Guillaume the right to initiate the attack, and on his order, the fight for his dukedom would begin.
Prête suis pour Normandie.
Quemandes.
Barat. Audite, servientes.
Parate.
Attention. Barat. Cavalarios Barat.
Barat. Reparate, Arquers. Arquer, in avant.
Quiete, cavals. Ite, ite.
It was during this battle that Guillaume first demonstrated his prowess as a warrior of Viking descent. He single-handedly turned the tide of battle and inspired his men to victory. With his forces depleted, Guy de Brion was utterly defeated and fled. It was said that the dead were so numerous they floated downstream and clogged the local water wheel. It was this victory at Valesdune where Guillaume first displayed his militaristic genius and demonstrated his fighting prowess. It was here that he established himself as the undisputed Duke of Normandy.
Post-match screen. Cross button. Play. Circle button. Back. Triangle button. View all. R2 button. Notifications. 0 new items. R3 button. Groups and chat. 0 new items. Loading screen. Loading in progress. Loading screen. Loading in progress. Loading screen. Play button. Cross button. Play.
(1065). And Guillaume is marching west to deal with the last threat to his duchy, the Duke of Brittany Conan II. Chateau de Dinan was a formidable fortress, and would need an impressive army to siege its walls and bring down the keep. Guillaume entrusted the raising of such an army to his wife, Mathilde de Flandre, Duchess of Normandy. First, Mathilde would need to gather resources, a job for her loyal villagers. Resources were essential in constructing buildings and producing units, and could be found all across the land. But Mathilde knew the most important resource to begin gathering was food.
Escoltez. Comprendo.
Attention!
Maintenance.
Escoltier.
Comprendo.
Si. Oye.
Ascolto.
Bene.
Food was key in recruiting villagers and military units.
Sigue.
More villagers would be required if she was to raise a large army. To do this, she turned to her town centre, an important landmark where new villagers could be recruited.
Ascolto.
Villagers could also construct a variety of military and economic buildings. Some of these buildings were used to make resource gathering more efficient, such as the mill. The town could no longer grow without additional homes. Mathilde ordered her villagers to construct new houses to accommodate the growing population.
Ascolto.
Bene, ascolto.
Mandemans.
Intendo. Paras.
Comprendo. Barats.
Bene, sì.
Mandemans.
Ascolti. Comprendo.
Mathilde ordered construction of the mill close to the berry bushes as an alternative drop-off point for her villagers. Next was wood, a key resource in the construction of many buildings and essential to the success of any town. Mathilde constructed a lumber camp close to a forest, a good source of wood.
Paras. Ok. Bene.
Ascolti.
Ascolto. Mandemans. Laburo. Ok.
With a healthy supply of food, the village could start to grow. To do so, it would need more hands to share the work.